So in the previous class, we have found the frontal area or the effective area of the tower. We have also found the CG of this frontal area. So today we'll continue this example and we'll find the wind force on the tower, and then we'll find the maximum and minimum forces at the base of the tower in the legs. So so far we have the wind pressure which we obtained from the design wind speed. We have the effective area. We have the CG of where the wind force will act, but now we have to find the coefficient of the wind force. Now for the towers, uh, we can assume some solidity ratio, and based on that we can find uh, the wind coefficient given in IS 875. Now the solidity ratio is nothing but the let us say we have a truss, a part of the tower like this. Okay, it is this is the member. Let us say this is so this is the area under area obstructed. So the solidity ratio it is the obstruct area in obstruction or obstructed area in obstruction, which is H in the figure, divided by gross area. We divide this with this gross area. That will give you the fraction of the total gross area which is obstructing the wind flow. Okay, this is the yellow one is the uh, gross area. Okay. So when wind blows through this member, uh, the hatch portion is the area obstructing the wind flow, and the gross area is divide it with the gross area, you will get the solidity ratio. It is denoted by pi. So let us assume the solidity ratio for different segments. For segment 1, let us say pi 1 equals to 0.25. Okay. Usually the range of this solidity ratio for towers, it is varying from 0.2 to 0. Or 0.15 to 0.3. So, at the initial stage of design, you can assume the solidity ratio, and once you have designed the member, then you can cross verify and you can calculate the actual wind force from the member chosen for or from the design member. For segment let it be 0.24. Here our intention is to understand the procedure to calculate the wind force. So we are not going for the detailed calculation of this solidity ratio, which can be obtained from the chosen numbers. So this let be 0.22, and for segment 4, 0.2. Okay. So now from this solidity ratio, you can get the coefficient of wind force. So that you can obtain from clause 6.3.35 of IS 875. This is from the old code 1987, but the same table is there in new code. This is IS 875 part 3 1987. But if you are referring the new code, then it is table 33. Table 33. Same table is replicated in the new code. In new code is 875 part 3 2015. So this one is the old code table 30, and in the new code it is table 33, and the values are also same. So force coefficient for different segments. For segment 1, CF1 will be equal to, now for segment 1, the solidity ratio is 0.25, so it is in between 0.2 and 0.3, so you have to interpolate the value in between, so that will be 3.3 minus 3.3 minus 2.5, 2.8 is 2.8, this is the value, 2.8 divided by 0.3 minus 0.2 multiplied by this, 0. This value is 0.25 minus 0.2. So we will get this value as 3.05. Okay. Similarly, for segment 2, CF2 will be 3.3 minus 3.3 minus 2.8 divided by 0.3 minus 0.2 multiplied by, this time the coefficient is 0.24, solidity ratio is 0.24, so 0.24 minus 0.2, so this will be 3.1. For segment 3, CF3 is equals to 3.3 minus 3.3 minus 2.8 divided by 0.3 minus 0.2 into, for third it is 0.22, 22 minus 0.2, that will be 3.2, and for segment 4, CF4 will be equal to 3.3 minus 3.3 minus 2.8 divided by 0.3 minus 0.2 into, I think this value is 0.2, so it will be the same as this value, 3.3, so no need to interpolate this, it will be 3.3 only, this term will be 0. Okay, so we have the coefficients for all the segments. Now let us assume the coefficient for the antenna disk. For antenna disk, which is hemispherical, the coefficient is 1.4. So we can now find the wind force. The lateral load due to wind will be for segment 1 let it be AL1 FL1 area CF times PZ. Now the effective area will be the gross area. This is the gross area. This is gross area, not the effective area. Gross area multiplied by this salinity ratio. This is effective area AE. So for segment 1 it will be 0.25 times 54. No, not 54. This 42. That is, it is this CG distance. 42. So it will be 0. So which is nothing but 5 times gross area times CF times PZ. So 5 is a solidity ratio. For segment 1 it is 0.25. This will be equal to 5 is 0.25. This multiplied by the gross area 42 multiplied by CF. The coefficient for segment 1 is 3.05 multiplied by PZ. The for first segment, which is at the top, it is 1.87. 807 is 87. 1.87 multiplied by 1.87. So this will be equal to 59.89. Similarly for other segments, This is 0.24 multiplied by 61.875 multiplied by 3.1 and pressure is 1.803. This will be equal to 83.00 kilonewton. The third segment, FL3 is equals to AE CF PZ equals to 5 AG CF PZ. AE is 0.22 multiplied by 80.625 multiplied by 3.2 into 1.673, that will be 94.96 kilometer. And for segment 4, FL4 is equals to AE CF PZ by AG CF PZ equals to 0.20 multiplied by 1 to 1.5 multiplied by 3.3 into pressure is 1.487, that will be 119.24 kilometer. And the wind force on antenna it will be pi r square, that is the area of the disc of antenna disc, multiplied by CF times PZ. So that will be equal to 5 into 1.5 square into CF. The CF is assumed as 1.4 times PZ. It will be the same pressure as segment 1, that is 1.87. Now here the dia of disc is dia of antenna disc is given in the data as 3 meter. So this force will be 18.51 kilometer. So you can find the total lateral load due to wind will be equal to, it will be the sum of all this FL is equals to 315.71 kilonewton. Let us say 316 kilonewton. Okay. Now we find the moment at the base due to this wind force. Now let us also assume that the wind acts diagonally. So let us say this is the wind direction. This is our tower. The base dimension of this is 7.5 meter by 7.5 meter dimension. So 7.5 by 7.5 meter. So this is wind acting diagonally. This is in plan. So consider wind acting diagonally. So when the wind acts diagonally, now all these wind force and uh, wind forces have been calculated for the wind acting perpendicularly. Okay, so multiply. So in that case, uh, the lateral load will be equal to root 2 times the lateral load acting perpendicular. Lateral load acting perpendicular. Okay. So we have to multiply all these forces with root 2 when the wind acts diagonally. Okay. And in that case, your antenna, which will be like this, somewhere here. So you have to assume the coefficient for wind acting diagonally. Coefficient, so CF for antenna. So this is again we have assumed. So we can now find the moments. So moments at the base due to lateral loads for segment 1, M1 will be equal to this force multiplied by root 2, that will be the force. So root 2 times 59.89, that is the wind force acting diagonally, and the CG distance multiplied with the CG distance is multiplied to 54. This is nothing but your root 2 times FL1 times y bar 1. So that will be equal to root 2 times 59.89 into 54, which is equal to 4573.7 kilonewton meter. Similarly, for other segments, for segment 2, and 2 will be root 2 times FL2 times y bar. So it will be root 2 times 83 multiplied by area, that is 40.121. So this will give you moment of 4709.4 at the base. For segment 3, moment is root 2 times FL3 times y bar 3 will be root 2 times 94.96 into 25.209. So this will be equal to 3385.4 kilometer meter. For segment 4 and 4 is equal to root 2 times FL 4 times root 2 times 119.24 multiplied by 8.667. That will be 1461.5 kilometer meter. And for antenna, and A will be equal to 5 into 1.5 square, that is the area, times the coefficient is 1 CF multiply by 1.87. So this is the force multiply by its lever arm distance. It is at 60 meter height. Multiply by 60. Okay. CG distance of wind force on antenna. Okay. This is the wind force on antenna acting diagonally. Okay, this is the area, this is CL, and this is pressure. This will be equal to 793.1 kilometer meter. Okay, so again the total moment due to wind force it will be sum of all these moments. So that will be around 14923 kilometer meter. Okay, so now we can find the force, additional force in each leg due to the wind force. So therefore force in each leg due to wind force. This is actually the vertical force. Okay, vertical force in each leg Fw due to the wind force. So it will be Mw divided by base width times root 2. Okay, see here the wind force is acting diagonally, so the distance the let us say this is these two are the legs. So when wind force acts from uh, in this direction, so this will be maximum stress, or under this will be under compression, and this will be under uplift. Okay, this will be uplifted, and this will be uh, stressed or compressed, stressed. Max or this compressed. Now Same thing when wind acts like in this direction, this will be under compression, this will be uplifted. Okay, so we have, and the lever arm distance between these two will be this. So this is the lever arm distance between these two. So this is B. If this is B, then this will be root 2B. Okay, so that is why it is root 2B. So that will be 14923 divided by 7.5 or root 2 7 root 2 times 7.5. So that will give you approx around 1407 kilonewton force in each leg due to wind. So we can find the maximum compressive force in each leg, that is F max, will be equal to F vertical, the total vertical force, plus F W due to the wind force. Now the vertical force in each leg due to vertical load was this 88 kilonewton. So this is 88 plus 1407. This will give you 1495 kilonewton. Similarly, the maximum uplift at the base of minimum will be equal to Fv minus Fw, that is 88 minus 1407. So that will be minus 1319 kilonewton. Negative sign shows that it is an uplift. Okay, so while designing the footing, make sure that the sulfate of the footing is much more than this force, so that the leg don't get uplifted, and the maximum transverse shear at the base maximum transverse shear will be FL, that is the wind force. So that will be this 316 kilonewton. Okay, so when you are designing the footing, you will have this is the base plate, and you have when you're designing this footing, it will be subjected to this FL 316 kN at the base. The maximum force vertical force and uplift will be in the another leg. Uplift will be 1319 kilonewton, and hence you have to check for both the cases, F max as well as F minimum. Means when F max is acting, the SBC should satisfy. Okay. And when F minimum is acting, make sure that your footing don't get uplifted. Okay. So this example is over. If you have any doubt, we can discuss now.